Call the meeting to order at 6:34. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, roll call.
Trustee Berman?
Here.
Trustee Luther?
Here.
Trustee McNeil?
Here.
Trustee Pierce?
Present.
Trustee Mason?
Here.
Trustee Peterson?
Present.
Mayor Gurke?
Present. Mayoral reports. Couple items of acknowledgement. The village will be closed this Friday in observance of Veterans Day, which is this Saturday, the 11th. There is a ceremony at Lakes High School, Veterans Day ceremony at 8:30 on Friday morning. And then there's a ceremony at the tank here on Toff Street at 11 o'clock on Saturday. So those are the two items. Is this our last meeting before that? Oh, this is our last meeting before Thanksgiving. So happy Thanksgiving. We moved the schedule around and we'll be having a meeting the week after Thanksgiving instead of the eve of Thanksgiving. So the 29th. Okay. And then acknowledging Native American Heritage Month and Library and Information Services Month. All right. Next is citizens wishing to address the board. There's a sheet down here. Pass that down. I'll have the village clerk go over the ground rules for that.
The opportunity to speak to the board is provided for members of the public who have a comment to make about the business of the board. The board appreciates hearing from stakeholders and values your thoughts and questions. The board strives to make the best decisions for the village, and public input is very helpful. The board must protect the civility and decorum of this meeting. Please be respectful for the duties of the board and the democratic process in your comments tonight. Please state your name and address your comments to the board. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes. Please be factual and courteous, and the board requests that you not make statements that are personally disrespectful or condescending to members of the board or staff. To the extent multiple speakers are addressing a single issue, the mayor reserves the right to limit the number of speakers making public comment of a repetitive nature and or limit the amount of time for public comment. The board does not respond to comments or attempt to answer questions during the public comment period. Okay, the first one is Joe Moyer.
Mike over there. Yep. So,
Hello everybody. My comments for the issue involving the ban of Delta 8 and Kratom products. I just wanted to bring to the attention that Kratom in itself is a natural painkiller, and it's been like a huge help in my life to avoid opiates. In the past, like I've been in multiple car accidents, just personal injuries. My whole left side of my body I can't like lift anything. I'm in constant pain. But I can't afford health insurance. So Kratom is like I don't take opiates. I wish I could just to not be in so much pain all the time. But Kratom is like a natural. It's a natural supplement. Comes from the earth, and it's saved my life pretty much. I honestly can't get out of bed without it. But it's a plant-based. It's not pharmaceutically made, and all I'm really trying to say is without like natural supplements in our day-to-day lives, like the opioid crisis just gets worse. That and same with Delta 8 products. There's so many like just natural elements that heal you and heal your pain without having to go towards the pharmaceuticals. And when you go that route, you just get hooked on it. And you see it in this town. There's tons of drug addicts all over the place. They don't have anywhere to live, and then they're ruining our businesses. They're coming and hassling us and whatnot. But like back to the point I was trying to make, it's just like it's a natural thing, and it really causes no harm. It does have like some addictive tendencies and whatnot, but everything in moderation. I work 50, 60 hours a week at a place that I love. Like it's a great family. We're not selling anything that's out there to harm anybody. We're healers over at Shop and Save. And I just wanted that to be known. People think that we're like hustling something that's, you know, shouldn't be on the market, but I use our product every single day. Other people do. And without the access to this, things are just going to get worse for people. And it's just pain relief is what it comes down to. People aren't partying or using our product in a bad way. They're using it just to get to work, just to get through the workday. And like for me, I can't afford health insurance. So what other options do I have? You know, when it comes down to money and that's just the way the economy is, I'm out of luck. So if I can't get to work, who's going to go work? You know, I feel like I'm myself a pillar of the community. And without our products, I'm not going to be able to be that. You know, I pride myself on being there for the community. And if the ban goes through, I'm not going to be able to do that. You know, people look up to me. So I don't know. I just hope you guys take that in consideration.
Thank you. Thank you for your comments. William Dallas.
William Dallas. I'm the attorney for Shop and Save Liquors in Antioch here, and I was asked to address the board this evening regarding the proposed ordinance that was going to prevent a licensee who was licensed by the Village of Antioch from selling Kratom products in Delta H. I don't know if you want to take this up now or at the time the item's up on the agenda. That's your
So how do we have one attorney?
Pardon me?
The attorney. Okay, yeah. Why don't we pass on yours until the item's called?
okay.
Okay, there's questions. All right. Next,
Kunal Omarwada.
Right. My issue is regarding the ordinance 10 as well. Would you like me to go now or with Bill later on?
do you have a stack?
I do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Why don't you distribute those
Okay.
now? What are you,
Yeah. So
what's your affiliation?
yeah, maybe we distribute it.
Thank you.
Board members and mayor, thank you for hearing us out today. My name is Kamal Rawadia. My soon-to-be wife and I are the owners at Shop and Save Liquor, and we wanted to speak regarding the Delta 8 THC and Kratom ban. Unfortunately, we had missed the last board meeting where this had come up, and we were not able to participate in that discussion. But one thing I wanted to highlight is that Joe's story is just one of many that we really want to speak out on behalf of. On October 31st, a little bit after we heard about this ordinance, we created an online petition, which is what you have in front of you. And we distributed that out to people online as well as our customers in shop. In just a week, we received over 400 votes on this, about 200 online and another 200 or so in store. These are local Antioch residents voicing their support to not move forward with this ban. If you scroll through, I know there's a lot of pages in here, you will see comments from people online talking about the benefits of Kratom, talking about the benefits of Delta 8 THC. And if you look at some of the statistics around Kratom from a Johns Hopkins study, you'll see that, you know, these Kratom users, they're not teens looking to party. They are generally middle-aged men, predominantly female, that are looking to these substances to avoid opiates and improve their quality of life. The other thing I just want to close on is that at Shop and Save, we hold the law and all due process in extremely high regard. So we ID every single customer. No purchase goes through without us scanning IDs. We teach our employees when they join us, employees like Joe, employees like Jay, exactly what to be looking for. We don't sell to minors, and we take this very seriously. So we encourage you to either vote no or at least reconsider this ban and allow us to present more information.
Right, thank you. And then when we have the item, there may be some questions from trustees. Right.
Sounds good.
Thank
Thank
you.
you all.
There's 3 items on the consent agenda. Is there any request to remove any of those items? Not, is there a motion and a second?
I moved.
Second.
Motion trustee Bluthart, second trustee Pierce. Roll call, please.
Berman? Yes. Luther?
Yes.
McNeil?
Yes.
Pierce?
Yes.
Mason?
Yes.
Peterson?
Yes.
6 voting yes, motion carries. On to the regular business agenda. First item is consideration and approval of payments of accounts payable as prepared by staff in the amount of $817,699.38. Do I have a motion and a second?
So moved.
Motion trustee Berman,
Second.
second trustee McNeil. Any discussion or questions
I
on this
just
item? Yeah,
wanted-
Trustee Berman?
Jim, if you can just go over the big ticket item in here for the Bowler construction.
Of course. So on the invoices over 10,000, I'll just run through that list. Bowler construction was 540,000 of this, so the majority of this accounts payable. We have G Works, which is part of our IT software packages, 32,000. Public Risk Fund, which is Workman's Comps, 22,000. Leading IT, as part of IT support, is 10,000. That's a block of time. We have 10,000. Addison, Denalfel, and Hessenbog. That's our legal counsel. Patriot Paving, which did some crack sealing, as Director Heimbrodt reported at 15,000. Power Concrete Lifting, which is sidewalk maintenance, 15,000. Ray O'Haran uniforms. These are a budgeted item for 15,000 for armored rifle plates. This was an item discussed during budget time for more ballistic, heavier duty armoring of the police vests. Rubicon Environmental. And that relates to our digester. We have some maintenance on the digester at 16,500. Sable Mechanical is 29,000, and that relates to the clarifier repair. And I believe there's another $10,000 invoice, Wex Fuel, which is our fuel card system for how we fuel our vehicles. So quite a list there, but the vast majority of that AP is that Bowler invoice.
Any other questions? All right, roll call, please.
Berman?
Yes.
Luther?
Yes.
McNeil?
Yes.
Pierce?
Aye.
Mason?
Yes.
Peterson?
Yes.
6 voting yes, motion carries. Number 5, consideration and approval of a resolution accepting the comprehensive annual financial report for the fiscal year ending April 30th, 2023, resolution number 23-69. It's I think we have Hannah from Lauterbach and Eamon on Zoom. Okay.
Hi, good
Yeah,
evening,
sorry.
everyone.
Is there a motion and a second?
Oh,
Motion trustee Bluthart,
Second.
second trustee McNeil. All right. Hello, Hannah.
Hi, good evening. Thank you so much for having me. As previously stated, my name's Hannah Cullerton. I'm from Lauterbach and Eamon, and I'm here to present the village's financial audit report. So I'll try to make this short and simple for you guys, because I know it's a lot to digest, so I'll just get right into it. First, I wanted to thank all of the staff that helped along the way. I know an audit's a lot to take in and to set time aside to do and help us with out of their daily routine. So I appreciate everything that the staff has put into this to make it as smooth and simple as possible. Just like you would hope, right? So first off, I wanted to start on page 8. You will see that there's the GFOA award. This is awarded to not everyone, so they have to apply for it. So this is one of the highest honors or awards that a municipality can receive. And the village has been receiving this since 2006, which is a consecutive 18 years of getting this award, which is amazing and so hard to do, it's amazing. Next page I wanted to go into was page 11. Page 11 is our independent auditor's report. This is where we give our opinion of the audit, and we have given an unmodified or clean opinion. It's the highest opinion that we can offer to our clients, which is exactly what you want to see. The next section that I want to chat about is page 15. This is our management discussion and analysis. So this is just a 10 to 15 page usually overview and kind of deep dive into what you're about to see in the next 100 or so pages. So if someone doesn't have a bunch of time to go and read the entire report, this is the area that you want to kind of direct them to. You will see that the total net position in the current year, there was an increase of about overall 6%, which is a $5.8 million increase. For governmental, if you want to break that down between governmental and enterprise or business type, you would see that their revenues were 22.4 million and their expenses were 17.7 million, which is a 10.2% increase. For enterprise, the revenue was 5.2 million and the expenses were 4.1 million with a overall 2.4% increase, which is amazing. On pages 29 and 30, you will see the balance sheet items for governmental and business type, which is the commingled portions before you break out in between the two funds or the multiple funds between the two. So just like we were described in the MD&A, you will see your assets, your liabilities, your net position. Most of the assets come from cash and investments, as well as capital assets and your deferred items like IMRF and police pension. Your liabilities mainly come from due from other governments, your current portion of long-term debt, your long-term debt, as well as your liabilities for all of your pension items. And then you will see that net position of 51 million, which is that overall increase, or 51 million, and then the 44.5 million. The next section would be 31 and 32, which is your income statement items, which is your revenue and expenses, like we previously talked about. You will see that breakout between governmental activities and your business type as well there. And then on page 33 and 34, you will see 33 through 39, you will see the breakouts between all of your governmental funds. So you have that breakout of all of the governmental funds for your balance sheet and your income statement items. So that's just more of an in-depth of what that makes up of throughout the year. Then you have on pages 41 through 44, you have that fund breakout between all of your business type items. So your water and sewer, your balance sheet and income statement items. And then lastly, you have on 45 and 46 is the fiduciary, which is your police pension items. I know I'm going a little fast. Are we all good so far? All right. So on pages 47 through 84, this is your notes to the financial statement. So this is kind of the overarching deep dive, kind of nitpicky into what makes up all of those balance sheet and income statement items. So this is more detailed on if you were looking into capital assets, what were the activities throughout the year? This is where you'll find it, as well as like your debt, and all of your pension items. So some portions of this on pages 60 and 61, you will see your capital assets, both your governmental and business type. So you'll see the increases. There was no decreases throughout the year for governmental, and the same thing for your business type assets. You will also see on pages 61 through 66 is your debt. So you will see all of the loans payable and all of your alternative revenue sources for bonds, your debt certificate, and all of that. On page 71 through 76 is all of your IMRF items. This comes from a separate report from the IMRF, which give us a report that we then analyze and put into a report for additional information. Same thing with police pension, which you will see on 77 through 81. That is all of your police pension items, as well as OPEB on 82 through 84. Again, a separate report that we then input into ours to kind of gauge a overarching what everyone needs to know about the financials throughout the year. Two more little parts in this report. So pages 85 through 134 is your supplementary information. This is where you'll see the trends throughout the past couple of years, 10 years to be exact. And you will see that for all of your employee contributions, so your IMRF, and all of the retirements, as well as all of your budget to actuals, which starts on page 97. So you'll see all of the budget to actuals for all of the different funds and the breakouts between those. On pages 136 through the end of the report is your stats section, which is given to us by the village. This kind of overarching section is with trends within all of your property taxes, your debt capacities, and all that good stuff, just to see what is happening throughout the past 10 years and what can they expect, and kind of see the changes between the two. So that's this report. Two smaller reports that I like to just briefly touch on is your TIF report, this tax incremental financing district. So with reporting, we have to report on specific TIF districts. And this is about a 5-page report just detailing this fund. So you'll see on page 1 is the internal auditor's report, like you saw in the bigger village report. This shows that there's an unmodified clean opinion. And then pages 2 is the balance sheet. Then you have your income statement, and then your notes of financial after that. Most of that comes from property taxes. There's a few restrictions based on the levies. And then your revenue comes from property taxes and contractual items, as well as debt. So that's very normal. And then on page 5, you will see your compliance with the TIF, just stating that when we were doing our testing, everything looks good and in compliance with governmental laws.
I just
So
figured
that's-
it out. I don't have that.
Look underneath.
I got management letter.
Oh, that is sorry, I'm not sure if you had that. It's just a small little report. If not, no worries. It's just a small little breakout. But yes, I will go over the management letter comments as well. This is just our letters to management stating anything that we saw that they can improve on and all of that stuff, good stuff. So some of these items you will notice that you'll see a lot of these GASB statement pronouncements. These are just implementations that we have to address with our clients, stating GASB is changing rules and regulations and making sure that we are aware of these, and some of them might not be applicable, but we just need to address them. So you'll see in the current recommendation portions is the GASB statement numbers 94, 96, 100, and 101. The first two, 94 and 96, will go into effect in 2024, and then for 100 and 101 will be 2025. So we have a little bit of time. This is something that we will obviously work with the village on. Again, realize if it's going to be applicable or not. It all just depends on when we get those financials. And then the last portion is your prior recommendations. There were 2 in the prior year, which was the GASB statement, 87 lease pronouncement. This was implemented. It wasn't applicable for anything in the current year, but we just stated, yes, we were aware that there is nothing applicable, but we implemented it, and to make sure that if there's anything that we need to address in the prior year or in further years, in subsequent years, then we will make sure to do so. And then the second one is the funds over budget. You'll see that there's a few few funds in the current year, the Dolly Spearing Memorial and then the MFT Fund, which were slightly over budget. And we will work with the management to then address that in further years. But other than that, that is it from me. Do you have any questions?
Yeah, what part are you on?
I know I went really fast. I'm so sorry.
I got a ton of questions on the first part.
All right. Trustee Pierce?
When do we have to approve this by?
I think that is
Does it have to be approved tonight is my question. And the reason I'm asking is you just went 150 miles an hour. I just got these forms put on my desk right before the meeting, and trying to go through it on the computer is like breaking out a magnifying glass and sitting there burning ants. I'm not prepared to vote on this tonight. So it's a very nice report and I appreciate some of the information in it, but I haven't had time to review it. I'm not going to vote on it tonight. So if it's before the board tonight, I'm going to vote no. Otherwise, I'm going to wait and have a chance to read it.
Do we have a deadline or a date on approval for this? Okay.
Yeah, they were in our package, but like I said, it's like breaking out a magnifying glass and trying to
All right,
burn
I
ants.
know, Trustee Bluthart?
It just says, based on what Trustee Pierce is saying, and if there's no deadline, I'd like to make a motion to table to our next meeting.
I would second that motion.
All right, I have a motion to table by Trustee Bluthart. I have a second by Trustee Pierce. Any other discussion on it right now? All right, roll call, please.
Berman,
Yes.
Luther,
Yes.
McNeil.
Yes.
Pierce,
Aye.
Mason,
Yes.
Peterson.
Yes.
6 voting yes, motion carries. Next meeting is the 29th of November. Then we also have consideration and approval of a resolution authorizing the acceptance of the municipal compliance report for fiscal year ending April 30th, 2023, resolution number 23-70. Do I have a motion and a second of any sort?
I'll make a motion to table this one too.
Motion to table, Trustee Pierce.
Second.
Second, Trustee Bluthart. Roll call, please. The next 20 item number 6
That to the next.
to the next meeting. Yeah. Roll call, please.
Berman,
Yes.
Yes.
McNeil,
Yes.
Pierce,
Aye.
Mason,
Yes.
Peterson.
Yes.
6 voting yes, motion carries. Next item is consideration and approval of a resolution approving a permit fee waiver for 15 lakes located at 919 Main Street in the amount of $13,000. Resolution number 23-71. Do I have a motion and a second?
So moved.
Motion, Trustee Bluthart.
Second.
Second, Trustee McNeil. I am again going to recuse myself from this item, so I'd ask Trustee Pierce to be the chair on this item.
Oh, thank you for warning me.
I just
All right, so obviously Mr. Garrigan's up here to give us an explanation once the
Yes,
mayor leaves the room.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. With regards to this matter comes before, as you know, our consistent policy when we work on incentive development agreements pursuant to what we've done. We typically request a waiver of the building fees. As you well know, we approved the 15 Lakes project a month ago approximately. There is, as you know, a significant proposal for almost $650,000 with regards to the actual build out. Based on that 2%, the applicant's requesting and staff is specifically requesting a waiver of $13,000. This is consistent with what we've done with other incentives, specifically Love and Oven, the Rivalry, and other projects. We are requesting that in our future development agreements that will incorporate a clause, basically a standard clause that will waive that. So when you review those future development agreements, there'll be a building fee waiver. But that's something that the board has consistently generally approved. But staff is again requesting that in this case, we specifically request a waiver of the building fees for 15 Lakes, approximately for $13,000.
Okay, before we start discussing it, do we have a motion to approve? Did we do? Okay. Who made the motion?
Trustee Bluthart made the motion.
Okay. Do we want, we'll start this in. Trustee Peterson, do you have anything to say?
Yeah, we would be, we're giving him money and we would just be getting our own money back.
We're
So this
exactly
is what
right.
we're, yeah,
Exactly right.
yeah.
That's why at the end of the day.
And we've done this before,
We've done
so,
this consistently before.
okay.
We just did not incorporate this provision in our development agreement. In the future, we will, but we wanted to make, again, a formal request that we waive the fees. They're in
Right.
for a building permit fee.
Okay, and I'm in favor of this, okay.
Trustee Mason? Trustee McNeil? Trustee Bluthart?
Mike, just one question, and it's related to this, but kind of different. The building facade improvement, there was that option with the bricks in regards to if they had to replace the bricks, or was it in one cost? Do we know if that's been determined yet?
They have not come in for a reimbursement. They've actually completed the brickwork. The brickwork has been tuck pointed, is completed. But the applicant has not completed the project. There's still some mill work and the windows have not come in. So once the project comes in, we'll have the final numbers. I believe it's a little less than what was projected, but I have not seen the final numbers yet.
Thank you.
Trustee Berman?
So as was stated before, essentially we're robbing Peter to pay Paul, right? Okay.
All right.
Oh, you're good.
Thank you.
You're good.
Roll call vote?
Berman,
Yes.
Luther,
Yes.
McNeil,
Yes.
Pierce,
Aye.
Mason,
Yes.
Peterson.
Yes.
Would somebody please get the mayor back in here?
Lower in your chair.
You could lock them out and you could just move over.
I don't want to.
No.
We had a coup while you were out of the room. We put Lori in charge. We don't run much better.
All right. Next item is consideration and approval of an ordinance adding one more Class B liquor license for Old Chicago Red Hots. Ordinance number 23-11-31. Do I have a motion and a second waiving the second reading?
So moved, waiving the second reading.
Motion trustee Peterson,
Second.
second trustee McNeil. I do have a note here that the applicant could not be here tonight, but is available on the 29th if the board has any questions or doesn't want to take action tonight. So I just note that. Otherwise, is there any discussion on this item? Discussion on this item?
Yeah, only that starts with me.
Okay.
Yeah, no one else has it.
Yep.
We denied another one before three of you got on that wanted to do one across the movie theater because it was downtown. And the reason it was denied because couldn't find another place that sold sandwiches and liquor. So you guys talk about a precedence coming in that this is going to open Mr. G's. This is going to open every sandwich shop now. For you guys denied a gas station. Now it's going to be Mr. G's and Antioch Pizza. Hold on, I'm still talking.
I know.
And every other person. And I feel bad for the one that got turned down because he was told you can't find another one that does the same thing. You can't have it. And he was turned down. And now, you guys, we had a business saying no more machines for the gas stations. We had them going around restaurant to restaurant because they weren't one of them. I don't even know what one of them means. And that's what they did. And now we got this group of people. It's going to be okay. I just don't understand lately the idealistics of where these things go. So I'm going to be a no vote because it just doesn't make sense. We deny a guy that's got an established business that already had a building. He wanted to do it. We said no, find another business. We gave him rules, and now we're gonna have Mr. G's gonna do it. Liquor doesn't solve every problem in the business. So I just don't, we already got two places that already have liquor being served and you guys said no. So I just don't get the mentality.
All right, any other discussion? Trustee Peterson?
I think we're talking about two different things. This Red Hot restaurant, and it is a restaurant, you can go in and sit down and eat. They've got a pretty good menu. What we were talking about with the gas stations, we would have to amend our ordinance. We would have to change what we do as far as allowing people to consume alcohol and gambling. With this particular restaurant, we don't have to amend anything. He is a restaurant. He wants a pouring license, and then with that comes gaming. If Mr. G's, who is a restaurant, wants a pouring license, he's a restaurant. We don't have to amend an ordinance. That's why I would be a yes on this, because they're restaurants. We shouldn't get into the business of telling people what they need to serve in their restaurant, what kind of food. We have a steakhouse that's going to open on Main Street. If they want a pouring license, of course, well, we've got it on the agenda, but we're going to give them a liquor license. If gaming comes with that, we didn't do that. The state of Illinois did. So the gas stations wanted a pouring license to get gaming. We would have to change our laws, our ordinances. That's my point. We're talking about two different things here. These are restaurants. If they want a pouring license, they can have one. I wasn't on the board when they said no to that sandwich shop. If it was legal to give him, he's a restaurant, to give him a pouring license, I would have voted for it. I wasn't on the board then. That's all I have, Your Honor.
Any other discussion? Trustee McNeil?
Sure. So I agree with Trustee Peterson, not about the gas station gaming. I was differing on that, but I agree that it's a restaurant that serves food. And I think we have no reason to deny it. And I was trying to brainstorm because I think one of the trustees had mentioned that, does anybody else serve hot dogs and beer? But yes, they do. Portillo's does, ballparks do. I just did like a brief search. So it's not out of the question to sit down and have a meal, have a hot dog, have a Italian beef and a beer. And I understand kind of the slippery slope, but if Mr. G's wants it, which I don't know that they do, they might want a more family style restaurant. I don't know what their end game is. I don't see that we can deny that. And I've heard about the sandwich shop that was denied, but I don't think personally that was the right decision. So I would rather, make the right decision tonight. I can't go back and fix what was done, but that's my belief. So I would be a yes on this.
Any other discussion? Trustee Bluthart?
Yeah. I'm gonna put the village attorney on the spot. Can you, and without turning it into a 2-hour lecture on the state law on this issue, but can you give me I'm a little town trustee version of the state law in regards to what establishments are in the state law versus what are local prerogatives?
Oh, so a licensure like this, a restaurant would fall under local discretion for a licensure. You still need to get a state license, but we have the first level of regulation.
Nothing further.
All right. Any other questions? All right, roll call, please.
Berman,
Yes.
Luther,
Yes.
McNeil,
Yes.
Pierce,
Yes.
Mason. No. Peterson,
Yes.
5 voting yes, 1 voting no, motion carries. Next item is consideration and approval of a resolution authorizing and approving the Antioch Chamber of Commerce to use real property owned by the Village of Antioch for the Taste of Summer Festival, resolution number 23-72. Do I have a motion and a second?
So moved.
Motion trustee Bluthart,
Second.
second trustee Berman. Any discussion on this item?
Just a couple things.
Trustee Berman?
I know there's mixed feelings about this at the last meeting. And reading over everything that we were provided by the Chamber of Commerce, I noted that they had they reached out to the Wisconsin State Fair to get some information from them. And then the carnival vendor that they are, the new one, has both of the certifications that not every carnival has. And if you had read through all the inspections and things that they do, to me, in my opinion, I feel that they appear to be doing a good job of what they're supposed to be doing as far as inspecting rides. I know, like I said last time, that was a horrible thing. And my son rode that very ride that weekend. We were there 3 days in a row. And he rode it no less than 20 times each day that he was there. So he was on that ride no less than 60 times, believe it or not. At first, yes, it scared me because yes, that could have been my son, but I do feel that the chamber has done their research on this. The vendor seems legit, and I don't feel that we should cancel this based on the past vendors that we have. Vendor, I should say, not vendors.
All right, any other discussion? Trustee McNeil?
Sure. I am interested to hear kind of the sense of the board. I know last time the board seemed more in favor of not proceeding, and I don't want to go against kind of the wishes of the majority here. If the board deems it's not in the best interest of the community, I don't want to be the one or two to kind of put a stop to things, but it's a really tough decision. I've been doing some research and reviewing. We don't know the results of the investigation yet. We can't speculate or comment on what happened. I know that we want community events that are safe, well attended. But on the flip side, I also know that many carnivals take place throughout the other municipalities, Lindenhurst, Libertyville, Lake Villa, our state, our county. And I couldn't find, other issues that happened. And the chamber did a really extensive amount of research, like Trustee Berman said, researching this company, which seems to have an exceptional safety record, and they are a member of this Circle of Excellence, which the chamber pointed out has this 3-year designation for safety and staff drug testing and operations and all of these things. So I don't know necessarily that carnivals are intrinsically unsafe in and of themselves. I know this is just an anecdote, but my dad was very good friends with Pat Skinner, who owns Skinner Amusements, and they do the Lake County Fair, and I rode the rides all the time with the Skinner family. They were on them too, and they took really a great amount of pride in what they did. I also talked to a lot of residents on this because it's a tough topic. I don't really know about it, but the majority of the people said, they didn't feel any need to stop the carnival, and that if they themselves, for whatever reason, which they didn't, but if they did feel that their children should not go, that was a parental prerogative rather than something that we would be policing. I also did some research too. Disney World has accidents all the time. There's lawsuits filed all the time for negligence. So I don't necessarily think that carnivals are unsafe, but I don't know if I'm in the minority view. If the majority of the board thinks, it's not the right time, I'm just curious where others have landed since our last meeting. I don't know if anyone else had any comments either way.
All right, thank you. Trustee Pierce?
I have not changed my opinion since the last time. I know somebody told me, oh, the first accident was really the kid's fault. So we got to count that one out. Then the last accident, we don't know what happened. So we got to count that one out. So we should let them have it. That's what somebody told me. But the majority of people I've talked to have been like, are you kidding me? And honestly, if something were to happen, this would be like the third strike. And it's not the chamber that everybody would look at. When it was on the news, it was the village of Antioch. Look what happened in the village of Antioch. So if I was to vote yes on this, I'd be putting my own personal approval on a potential hazard to a child. And I'm not prepared to do that anymore. I think we need to look out for our children, and there's got to be other ways for the chambers to make money. I have no qualms with them having a festival and approving it to be on village property. I just have a qualm with it containing a carnival. I think the day and age has come where we need to move forward and figure out something else to attract people into Antioch for an extended week so that they can have fun and spend money and help fund the chamber. But I'm not going to put my name on this. I would vote no.
Rick, any other comment?
Yeah, I think carnivals are groovy. Problem you have is you don't have professional carnies anymore. They don't exist. So you get temporary people that you don't know which country they came from. And it's sad to say, professional carnies and the rules were broken with this last carnival where we had someone that was not on the list on the rides, and you could verify that for anybody that wants to know. So if you can't verify who's there, can't verify background checks, that's a hazard coming in. I mean, you don't have professional carnies. End of conversation. Rides could be safe. The people coming in, who the hell are they? Second, you know, you got Great America right next door. I get that, but the investigation is still the investigation's not over yet. Maybe after the investigation's over next year or the year after that, it's a different time to look at it. But it's too soon. It's too soon. Let it ride a year, find out what the heck went wrong. Learn from the mistake. Don't have it right away. You gotta learn from the mistake. Find out, was it a person there? Did anybody get the report yet? What happened? None of us have it. So how do you make a decision? I don't understand it. Safety of the public should come first in everybody's votes.
Trustee Peterson?
I have a question for the attorney. Say we do approve this and there's an accident. And there can always be an accident. Who's liable?
Without giving a 2-hour answer, I do know that it could be, I mean, yeah, without, it's hard to answer that as a hypothetical.
Okay.
It's hard to answer that as a hypothetical. It is a relationship by the chamber between their vendor and the chamber.
Okay. But it's on village property. Approved by the village board.
Those are both true statements. There would be, if the resolution comes through, it would be approved by the village board and it would be held on village property. That's correct.
All right, I'll go around with more.
Wait.
We should probably be careful talking about theories of liability.
Okay, I'm just not. I don't think it's a good idea this year. We don't know what happened last year. We're still in the mix, and I just think that we should take a step back, err on the side of caution, and put safety first. Reinvent the festival, do other things. But right now, I think this community hurt very, very badly. They came out and thousands of people came out to donate their time and restaurants with food and money for this family. And it was awesome. It was great that we did that. But I think it's too soon. So I'll be a no.
All right, any other discussion? Trustee Berman?
And this, and I apologize if this comes off as other people might take this as being extreme, but we've also had many cars driving down Main Street that have crashed into buildings down our Main Street. But we haven't banned driving through Antioch. We haven't banned people from walking on the sidewalks. I mean, anybody could go crashing over the sidewalk, but we don't stop any of that. I know it's two different scenarios, but the concept behind it is the same, in a way. So I just wanted to put that out there, and that's all I'm going to say.
Roll call. Ready? Roll call.
Berman,
Yes.
Luther,
No.
Neil,
No.
Pierce,
No.
Mason,
No.
Peterson.
No.
All right, one voting yes, 5 voting no, motion fails. Next item is consideration and approval of an ordinance amending section 4-2B-6 and 4-14-4 of the Antioch Village Code to require liquor license applicants and tobacco license applicants within the Village of Antioch, Illinois, to refrain from selling products containing Delta 8 THC and Kratom. Ordinance number 23-11-32. There was also a comment, I believe, emailed from the clerk prior to the meeting. I didn't get a chance to read that yet, but is there a motion and a second waiving the second reading on this item
Thanks. The village attorney question before that.
for the motion?
Yeah, or no?
Yeah.
Like if we were to talk about it and hear things and not be ready, can it be able or,
The motion to table supersedes the substitute motion.
but can we still talk about it? Like, I'm curious what people had to
Yeah,
say.
you could also open it up for discussion purposes.
Okay. I don't know.
Make the motion.
But other people, if I made a
You make the
motion
motion.
to, we can make a motion to discuss, but table the vote.
Yeah, that's
Okay, so I have a motion from trustee McNeil to discuss this, open this item for discussion and to table the vote on the regular business agenda.
I don't think that's.
No, I think it's just to open, sorry.
Oh, no, just to discuss and then postpone the vote until the next meeting.
Oh.
No, that's what I was
it is.
gathering.
I'm sorry,
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's what I was gathering.
Yeah.
So we accept the first reading and put it on for second reading next time? Is that the proper way to do this? Okay, so we can not waive the second reading. We could hear it tonight and then have it for the second reading at the next board meeting and for a vote. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
All right, so, okay, so I got a motion from trustee McNeil she has a motion to again, accept the first reading. And I believe I have a second from trustee Masick. So
Right.
I'll open that up for discussion. Trustee Berman?
Then does that change from recusing to back to abstaining?
Um,
Now that it's only comment or.
It would be abstaining.
Okay,
Discussion,
that's
yeah,
what I
at this
thought.
point. Okay,
Okay.
all right, so y'all understand what happened? Okay, so it's up for discussion tonight, one time. It'll be on the agenda the 29th for the second reading of the ordinance and the vote.
Now, if the vote fails, there can be another vote, another motion after that to waive the second reading and vote yes on it tonight.
I believe-
Or vote no on it.
Right, yes.
Okay.
No, there is no vote tonight. is there?
Okay.
Or the motion to
Just
table.
Accept the first reading and waive and move it on to the
Yep.
next meeting.
Yep. All right, so discussion on this item. I know there are two individuals that may want to speak. I don't know. Trustees have questions. I know that village attorney, village administrator, police chief may have some comments. So, okay, trustee Bluthart.
Well, I was gonna suggest that we allow the comments now because I might have more questions based on their
Sure.
comments if we could.
All right, so not times. in this one. Where'd you have the list of the names? All right, so Mr. William Dallas and Kunal Amarada, you're welcome to come up here and address the board regarding this item.
Again, my name is William Dallas. I'm the attorney for the Shop and Save Liquor in downtown Antioch. And I was asked to come and address the board tonight concerning this proposed ordinance that would prevent licensees that have an alcohol license or a tobacco license from selling Kratom and Delta 8 THC products. This is an important product for our client. It is a significant portion of its sales, and it is, helps it stay in business and be profitable. Your licensee is licensed by the Village of Antioch now and is regulated, and he complies with the law. He's been a good operator for the village, and this is something that he feels is important to him. to communicate. First thing I'll say is that Delta 8 THC and kratom are legal products both federally and in the state of Illinois, unlike marijuana, which is illegal federally and in many states. So we're not talking about illegal products here. And there are some significant evidence that shows that these products are actually helpful for people. And Delta 8 THC, you know, it's a little bit difficult to combine these because they're two different products. But Delta 8 THC is a derivative from the marijuana plant that's, or from a hemp plant that's found naturally in the plant and is legal because there was a farm bill in 2018 that made some exceptions for hemp, and this product falls within that category. So it is legally currently federal. So there are some benefits to it, and there's one study that was done by J.S. Kruger. It was published in 2022, and I think that study is in some of the materials you have, which says that it's got many of the benefits of marijuana THC, but with less adverse effects. And this Kruger study concluded that it was paradoxical for states and municipalities who are opening up to Delta 9 THC, which is the active ingredient that's sold at many of the cannabis dispensaries. And at the same time, they're trying to stop consumption of Delta 8, which is a product that has much less psychoactive effect and less adverse effect. So there are some benefits. I've read some of the whereas clauses in the ordinance, and there's reference to FDA warning letters. From what I can glean from reading these, the safety concerns are not actually related to the Delta 8 THC or the kratom, but the fact that there's unscrupulous manufacturers combining products that are not safe to be consumed in these products. And I understand from my client that if you go into his store and look at these products, there's a QR code or something that you can scan, and you can get the testing results and the purity results right there. You know, he's not buying things from illicit marketers of these products. And I fear that if these people aren't allowed to sell the product, then you might actually have the reverse of what you want to happen, whereas people who are buying these products from unscrupulous marketers are selling them in the community. At least people in the community have a place where they can get safe product, as opposed to having to look elsewhere. The FDA issued a warning letter on Delta 8 THC, but this warning letter was basically to these manufacturers of the products that are making unsubstantiated claims, such as that Delta 8 will help you get off opioids, or it'll do something else. And these warning letters are not uncommon. They're sent to all kinds of manufacturers. I happen to see that Abbott Labs received a warning just October 24th of 23 on their Similac probiotic supplement. You know, and the FDA has issued a warning letter to them saying, you know, you're making false claims about your product. FDA issues warnings on hand sanitizers to use them in well-ventilated areas. So these warning letters themselves don't support that there's a safety concern here. There's only a safety concern if the products are manufactured poorly and they're not of pure quality. But you can have that with cannabis and marijuana and many other things that are sold. Cigarettes, if they were to be bought from non-reputable manufacturers, could have ingredients added to them. So my feeling is that the regulation of these products is best done at the state level. And there's currently a bill pending in the state of Illinois. It's House Bill 4101, where the state of Illinois is looking to fill the gap that was created by the federal agricultural bill that allowed these hemp products to be sold. And the state is looking into regulating them and licensing, but they haven't taken action yet. And the bill, I think, was introduced in May, and it will take some time to wind through the system. But from what I can see, there's not, I don't know if this is a complete ban, what the village is proposing, that if you have a liquor or tobacco license, you can't sell these products. And I guess the question I have is, if this ordinance were to pass, is there a licensing pathway for a licensee to sell these products in the village? And if there is no licensing pathway to do that, I don't think it's reasonable to allow a cannabis dispensary to obtain a license to sell products that are known to have worse adverse effects, and not give a pathway to a licensing to sell these products, which are more innocuous. Again, I believe that if they can't sell them, you may create a situation where there'll be illegal sellers of it selling poor product that may cause more problems. I happened to observe what happened at the city of Elgin, considered a ban, a similar type of ordinance in August. And they decided that, given the fact that HB 4101 was pending in the state, that they would defer. So they tabled their ordinance to wait to see what the state would do. And I think that, given the fact that it appears that it is a safe product, if it's pure, it's legal in state and federal, their licensee is licensed, he's selling it responsibly, he doesn't sell to people under 21 years of age. I think this is at least something that should be considered and discussed further, rather before there's some kind of a ban on these products. And I'm not saying it is a ban if there is a licensing pathway, but I don't know if there is a licensing pathway. So I would just urge some caution and consideration to your licensee to allow them to sell these products until this matter could be fully fleshed out, either at the state level or at the federal level.
All right, thank you. Questions from the trustees?
I just got one quick question. If she's not going to participate and she has a conflict, you had a conflict, you had to leave the room. Should she have to? I'm just curious. Trustee Berman. Okay.
All right, Trustee Bluthart.
Yeah. You mentioned Elgin. Are there any other cities or villages in the state of Illinois that you're aware of that are currently restricting or banning the sale of Delta 8 and
I've heard that Freedom Park passed an ordinance, a ban ordinance, and I heard that the village of Naperville was considering something and they decided not to do it, but I think they limited it to sales of 21 years. I'm not positive on that. It just
If I can add one thing, those I believe are only for Delta 8, not for.
Okay. I don't have any further questions for you, but my main thought on this is it's very rare that we get approached by our police telling us we need to do something or asking us to do something that they believe and they're the experts on this more than I am, that they believe will make a difference and could prevent issues. I agree the state is way behind on tackling these issues, but if we wait for the state, we could be sitting here in 3 years and the state might not do anything. So I'd rather be one that goes on the side of caution here and relook at it when the state attacks this issue or deals with it finally, and then adjust our ordinances at that point. I don't feel like waiting to deal with these issues now in the village is a good thing, because if something happens between now and when we were waiting, I don't know if I could deal with that. So I'm in support of this. I know we're not voting on this evening. And primarily it's because it's a request from our law enforcement officers who say that this is something that we could be looking at and need, and I'm gonna go along with what their request is. That's all.
Thank you. Trustee McNeil, questions or comments?
Yes, so kind of along the lines of trustee Bluthart, he's correct. Since I've been on the board, which is only a short time, but I haven't had the police approach us, with any requests to consider ordinances for safety, especially of our children, because I think the big concern is that they go into your store and they see it, and sometimes through maybe no fault of your own, they're somehow able to purchase it maybe through a friend, or do they have fake IDs? I'm just curious what your process is, because I am worried about kids, because I know, and the reason I wanted to table this is I wanted to hear what you had to say and think about it and read, because the studies that I've been reading from the Mayo Clinic, which I think is a reputable source, they cited that from 2011 to 2017, they had 1,800 poison control calls for the kratom. And same thing with the FDA reporting, seizures, and even kids who, like little kids who got accidentally exposed and actually had to go through like withdrawal symptoms. So I'm not usually one in favor of banning things, but I am worried about safety and our kids. So could you fill me in on how, like, if I came to your store and what are you looking for? Just my ID? Do you copy it? What is the process with that now?
Yeah, absolutely. So our point of sale systems require us to scan all IDs. So it verifies if you're correct. We scan every customer regardless of age. Sometimes they don't like it, but we do, right? So we make sure that we're not selling underage. We have not had any instances of this. And we do label our products. Our staff are knowledgeable, so they're telling these customers. As to whether people buy them and give them, we obviously would never encourage that. That can happen with alcohol. That can happen with cannabis at a dispensary, but never in our store. And we put in strict concerns about it. The other thing is one of the, if this were to be a ban, we had just expanded a portion of our shop that would likely have to come to a close, especially in the slower winter months. These products are available in other towns. So it's not only, our business that's hurt, but then people are going to other nearby towns or potentially illicit markets, which I think increases the harm. So, we haven't had a chance to talk to the police and maybe learn about some of the cases in Antioch. I'd be definitely interested to learn, what has happened and what we can do better. But we think that a ban is kind of overly restrictive, whereas if we can do things better, or if any of the other shops, there's been instances from them, I think we can come together to find a more workable solution.
Okay, I appreciate that. I think those are my only questions right now until I read through all the other material that you dropped off. But just for anybody listening, I know we received as a board collectively a lot of emails from people who, I'm not sure if they lived in Antioch or not, but just to clarify, if the board does pass this, there's some confusion about can we not have it or possess it. And I just wanted to clarify that's not the case. It would just be relating to the sale in our community. People could still consume or possess. So that's it for now. I want to take the time to look at what you provided, but you said.
It may just one comment though. I think there might be some harm from restricting these products until the state acts, because I do think people depend on it. I think that we do give people relief. There is evidence in the medical journals to support that there is some benefits to these products, and certainly Delta HTHC is not any more significant than Delta 9 THC. You've got, and that's Delta 9 is in cannabis, and that's sold. There's a pathway for people to sell it, I believe, in the village. So there could be some negative consequences if you were not to wait restrict this product.
Thank you. Trustee Pierce.
You mentioned regulation, and I appreciate you carding everybody at your point of sale, but does the state of Illinois currently require that for Kratom and Delta 8?
I don't know, but I don't think they do. I don't think there's a licensing regulation currently existing, and I think that's what House Bill 41 is going to do.
Correct. It gives a $5,000 fine if somebody does sell to somebody under 21. Currently,
put a licensing protocol in there similar to what's with alcohol or cannabis that you have to license.
but currently there is no regulation in place. So a good store owner, shop operator who's stepping up and doing his part to do it properly doesn't negate the fact that there may be others that aren't in the community. And it really concerns me because there are, as you say, letters of praise for Kratom and Delta 8, and there's letters of there could be problems with it. And so I would, if it was only for 21-year-olds and above, I don't think this would even be here, because there would be fining systems. There would be processes like where they go for cigarettes and they try underage sales and then they fine the operator. And we see how that's put the point of sale system in place that you use. So if it was for 21 years and older, I would have no qualms. But right now, it's not in the state of Illinois. And at some point it will be. And correct me if I'm wrong, either you or the village attorney, as a non-home rule community, we don't have the ability to say, like city of Naperville, it could be for people who are 21 and over only.
I don't know the answer to that.
You have some flexibility relative to business licensure, which this would fall under. We do have some.
So are you telling me we could just do a straight 21 and over sale ordinance?
Yeah, well, the Kratom Control Act has 18. The Kratom Control Act allows for the sale up to 18 or over the age of 18. So 18 years old plus 1 day, you can sell. But that does not, the act is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 paragraphs in total and does not deal with the licensor or production channels of the same.
So I'm hearing no regulation, no age limit, except for some control act that just was brought up that says 18, but it's only got 7 paragraphs. So
It's very short. I mean, for example, liquor and cannabis are multiple pages, paragraphs, and the Kratom Control Act is less than a screen on an iPad.
So, and my other point, probably following what Trustee Bluthart said, if we, any ordinance we pass in the village of Antioch, we can pass an ordinance today. If things change, we can change it tomorrow. Is that correct?
We actually said that. I mean, that was one of the things that the chief and I talked about at the last meeting, was that this may come back. And that's actually, even the formatting of this ordinance was created in a manner to allow for some flexibility with the anticipation that this may go through legislative channels, both at the state or federal level.
And when do we require each person to fill out their license and submit for that year? When is the due date?
Licenses expire May 31st each year, so the renewals usually start in February.
The renewals start in February. So correct me if I'm wrong, even just like our park board, when we changed the residency requirement for that, they had to stay until their next change. Would that be the same with this? Would these businesses be grandfathered in place until their next license?
At this point in time, we have 30 days for the new 30 days plus 10 for the new regulatory scheme or system for licensure to begin.
Okay, thank you. That's my for me for right now.
Trustee Masek?
So when you sell the product, what kind of bags does it come in? Is it compared to a dispensary? Does it come in those child-proof bags? Same as if you get THC and CBD from them?
I am gonna ask
A child-proof bag?
certain, I don't know.
Because those I've seen those bags, those you need a degree to open. They're very hard to open. Second, how is the product extracted? Your product, is it extracted CO2, ethanol? Do people know how it's extracted? Is it natural? Because there's 2 ways and does the product look like a piece of candy? So if someone took a dose, more than a dose, that's where you get poison control. So if a kid got to it because it's an easy open container, that's where poison control comes in. Where the dispensaries, they're making it where a normal little kid can't open them. They're very difficult to open. I think they should know this, but I don't go up there. But I did some research, and they're very difficult to open when you buy them. And the problem with the gummy type stuff, they're a little kid would see them, and they're gonna, oh, it's in a little jar, it's in a little plastic bag. Hey, I'm gonna take it. I saw them on the counter in the bedroom. And here's the problem I'm having. I'm hearing an attorney give testimony, not an expert on the medical benefits. I've spoken to ER doctors. They hate the stuff, hate it, because they come in there. People come in there with all kinds of issues with both products, and that's what you're lacking is expert testimony. The attorney can help you with what that word means, but there's no expert testimony. I know because I've seen the effect in the emergency room. I've spoken to infectious doctors. I've spoken to ER doctors. They're all clients of mine. I spoke to every one of them. They hate both products, and the one product can be changed to where it's a health benefit product, but it also can be changed very simply to all of a sudden now it's a product that people can synthetically change and make you high. Kratom, not so much, but Delta 8, you know what I'm talking about, and it's all over YouTube. So there was a product years ago that was circling around synthetic marijuana called Spice, and we finally got rid of that stuff years ago. And that had, like bath salts, that had an acid effect, and people are going goofy. People are getting sick. People are getting lung problems. Same thing when people do this nonsense. And the problem with your product is you don't know how it's not regulated. Like Illinois, if you were taking every state, and I shouldn't know this, but I do know this because I was going to invest in a farm. Illinois has got the strictest out of most states of any marijuana. So if they have a bad read on one, we'll call it greenhouse, that whole greenhouse is destroyed. $500,000 they could lose. That's not the same on that product. So you don't know if there's heavy metals in it. There's no regulation of what's in that product that people are taking. That's the problem with with both products. So people can be ingesting with your product because it's not regulated. They can be ingesting mercury, lead. There's zero regulations. On the side of safety, someone's got to tell me, Ed, you're wrong. Trustee Masick, you're wrong. Attorney can't do that for me. Because I got to go to protect the public. That's all our jobs up here. And without regulation in the marijuana in the state of Illinois that's sold in dispensaries, they're all tested for heavy metals. It's probably the safest in the country is what's sold in Illinois dispensaries. Don't go, that's not an advertisement for everybody to go to dispensaries and buy it. But that's the difference between your product and their product.
And, the only thing I would suggest is from what I'm understanding is their product is tested and pure, and you can check that out by going on the labels. And it might be the illicit products that are causing problems at the emergency rooms and otherwise. And I think banning the sale of products that are tested.
You're making it work. I'm going to object because you're making an assumption when you say that. That testimony, what you just said, would not be allowed. So that's where I'm saying I should be playing attorneys, but what you're making is hypothetical guessing. You're guessing. Well, that's illicit products. Your product Delta 8 can be turned into that product. That's the problem. So how can you make a statement where that's other products when that Delta 8 product can be changed? That's why the police are coming here, because these kids know they get their hands on it and they're using it to change it to where they're making it because that's an easy form of getting cheap marijuana. synthetic. It's the same synthetic marijuana that was being sold at gas stations called Spice. You guys
Yeah,
aren't old
you-
enough.
you gotta
You guys aren't old enough to understand it, but it's basically spice synthetic marijuana. So you're out of line.
All right, sir.
So
One more warning.
yeah, we need some expert testimony. So that's what I'm gonna ask for. Labels to me,
That's a reasonable request.
yeah, labels, when it says natural, just, I just want you to keep in mind a vitamin label. It says natural and use magnesium. There's 4 different magnesiums. One will keep you in the bathroom. The others are good. There's others that are good. So make sure the labels have backgrounds and footnotes that we all can understand.
I'm not suggesting that I'm giving testimony. I'm trying to advocate for a position here. I was retained, in the last couple of days and tried to dive into it. And all I'm suggesting is give some reasonable period of time for the licensee to present something and to take a look at the literature and use caution and maybe
Well,
there's
I think
a way
I
we
think
can.
I think Trustee McNeil did that by tabling it to give you extra time to get that in here instead of no. So she did you guys a favor.
All right. Thank you, Trustee Peterson.
Yes, this product is not regulated by the FDA. We have a police department.
Cannabis is
We have the police department and our police chief warning us about this. My colleague talked about what she found out from the Mayo Clinic. Those are pretty powerful reasons why we should go forward with this. I understand that you have a QR code and you can scan it, but that's just a label. That's just a label. I've read labels before that weren't true. That's just a label. We're trying to protect the people who live here. You do have a choice, by the way. This isn't a ban. You have a choice. You can sell either or. That's what this ordinance says.
And that's one of the questions I asked. So there is a legal pathway. Licensee could open a new store just to sell these products.
You have a choice. We're trying to protect this community. When our police chief comes to us with these problems, it's our duty to react, to do what we need to do to protect this community. So I want to go forward with this. That's how I feel. That's all I have, Your Honor.
Couple more brief comments, and then we'll move it on to the 29th. Trustee Pierce.
I just wanted to say, as I listen to this conversation, I'm reminded of one of my favorite movies. It's called Tommy Boy, and I don't know. It's one of my favorite movies, but in there they're talking about Callahan Automotive and brakes and warranties, and they could throw any sort of label on it they want to, but it's what's in the heart of the thing that makes it valuable and worthwhile. So, I mean, your manufacturer could give you any label they want to because nobody's regulating them. So you got to take it with a grain of salt.
All right. Any other discussion before we call the vote and for the first reading of the ordinance and bring it back on the 29th for the second reading? All right, roll call, please.
Oh, for clarification on the vote. There was a lot of discussion about what we're actually doing. So what does a yes vote versus a no vote mean at this time?
It's accepting the first reading. Standing, right? So
motion is to accept the first reading.
So just accept
not
the
approving
first
it, just
reading. It's not
accepting the first
approving it,
reading.
it's just accepting the first reading, bringing it up for the second.
Correct.
Sorry, I'm complicating this. How do I
You just
abstain.
just do this? Okay.
Her vote goes, an abstention goes with the majority, doesn't it? Okay, thank you.
All right, roll call, please.
Berman,
Sorry, I'm so confused.
Abstain.
Okay, abstain, sorry.
Luther,
Yes.
McNeil.
Yes.
Pierce,
Aye.
Mason,
Yes.
Peterson.
Yes.
5 voting yes, 1 abstention, motion carries. There'll be the second reading on the 29th of November. All right, thank you. Thank you. Next item is consideration and approval of an resolution authorizing a change order and costs associated with the open space development at Main Street, and Orchard Street related to the relocation of utilities, fire alarm requirements, and lighting requirements, the amount of $38,044.96. Resolution number 23-73. Administrator Kine.
I'll make a motion.
Yep, a motion from trustee Luthart,
Second.
second from trustee McNeil. All right, discussion on this item.
Can we just wait 1 minute?
Yeah.
Okay to proceed?
Yep, go ahead.
Thank you, Your Honor, and thank you to those that have asked questions about this. I knew there'd be some questions. There were some very good questions, but I'd like to just kind of explain what is before the board tonight. We have considered some of this in previous meetings. The amount of conduit that would be needed to put the overhead utilities in the ground has been discussed. And I did bring it to the board as it was a change initiative to make sure that the board was fully aware of the total cost of what utilities going underground meant. We also talked about a window opening, changing a window opening to get the opinion of the board whether or not they were interested to move forward with that. But when at some point in time, it becomes a change order. And what a change order is adjusting the contract price. So this is an official document that would officially change the contract price due to Bowler. Okay. So we have looked at some of these and discussed some of these items before. They just haven't made it to the official document yet. And in a future change order, the window opening will show up in one of these documents. So I just wanted to explain to the board why we may be considering some of these things a second time. But I only do that out of an abundance of caution to make sure you understand what's going on, and to make sure that we're proceeding behind the scenes with all the different things that need to happen to actually make a change. Sometimes a lot of pricing has to be obtained. Sometimes design specs need to change, and there's no point in proceeding on certain things if the board has no interest in it. So I just wanted to put that out there first. So this is change order number 1. And there's a few items on it. There is that $119,000 conduit item that would be included in this change order. There is also a credit, the native vegetated mat, which we have gone directly to the vendor to purchase. And I did execute that. We have at least put a down payment on. I don't think we've bought the entire amount or provided the entire amount yet. But that amount for native vegetated mat was also included in some contractor's bid, and it got included into Bowler's bid. So we are rightly due a credit because that number has been essentially, we're buying it and somebody else has put bid numbers as if they were buying it. So there's a credit there. I think it's $84,000. 87. And we paid 70 something. So I think we did well by getting it directly from the vendor. There's a $12,000 item, which is a power inverter. That item is necessary to provide certain lighting around the building in the event of a power outage. It was not specified in the contract docs, but it is, we're being told, is a necessary item. So pricing has been developed for that. And I think on some of the reviews done by the fire department, they noted that a couple extra detectors or smoke detectors or alarming devices related to fire detection were required. So we're trying to comply with all the various codes of the fire department as well, and life safety code. So those 4 items are included in change order 1, which results in change order one, adjusting contract price by about $38,000. Does that make sense to everyone?
Questions?
Where's the cameras?
We're not-
Questions? Questions?
I'm waiting for
Not
the
a-
hand down there.
Maybe Anderson?
I have one, can you talk to the deduction for the field representative office revision, what that refers to? It's a $10,500 credit.
I'm sorry, I failed to mention that. The contract documents require the contractor to provide the owner's representatives an office. A separate area where our engineers, our inspectors, or people that are working on our behalf on this site, to be able to, have meetings, store documents, and things like that. What Bowler suggested was that in the existing trailer that they have down there, it has a separate locking room within that. So rather than providing a separate trailer, we've agreed to have some space inside of their trailer, but it is a situation where we can, if we had notes in there or things in there that we didn't want Bowler to have, we can independently lock it.
That on the side? All right. How about this side of the board? Any questions?
Well, we're gonna get into the soil contamination too with this extra dough. Are we gonna get in the camera? Does this include the wiring of the cameras that are gonna go in there? You're gonna do wiring twice, increase the cost? The pull down alarms, you got fire alarms for that, but I don't see pull switches for emergency switches for that, or any your pulls for safety.
So yeah, that's a good question. There was a fire detection system designed for this and submitted for review. So all of the pulls, and these were simply additional items. So the fire department reviewed the submittal for fire detection and wanted just to add a few extra detection issues. So the pulls are there, the conduits there, the wiring is all there. But instead of
cameras,
we haven't gotten to the subject of this change order is not cameras or soil. That they will be subjects. I'm fairly certain of future change orders or change initiatives. I will bring those to you when we have some of that information. We are still planning to have the park have a camera and surveillance system. Soil conditions are another separate topic.
doesn't it make sense to wire stuff in a similar order? If you're wiring underground stuff, you'd wire stuff at the same time.
It's up to the contractor's means and methods and how they want to proceed to meet the specifications of the job. But this does not exclude any specifications of the job. All of the conduit required for cameras, other lighting. There's a lot of lighting here. There's going to be conduit for. There's going to be underground work for sewer, water, natural gas, communications potentially. All of that is in contract and been specified. I'm not saying that there won't be needed adjustments at some point, but those have not been brought to my attention at this point. So this isn't replacing any other of those items you mentioned.
Any other questions? Put your hand up.
Yeah, that's my
Trustee Pierce.
So, I get the fact that soil was a hodgepodge over there and best guess. I get that. I'm not happy with it, but I get it. I wish we could have spent $150,000 and did a 10-foot grid and sampled every 10 feet or something. I get, we just did like 5 or 6 things. So I understand we're trying to err on the side of saving money, and now we're just going to be spending the same amount of money. So I get that. But when I look at this, it's like, they missed that they need a lighting inverter versus a UPS, or a UPS versus a lighting inverter. They need to add more alarm systems in there, detectors. Trustee Masic's asking about the cameras, and it just makes me think, what else was missed on this? I mean, these are things that to me were missed.
I guess you could put it in an omission category on the inverter. It's a required thing, and it was not specified. So, on a project like this, there are going to be some omissions. No set of plans is perfect. So you could look at it that way. In many plan reviews, professional designers, submit, and I'm more familiar with the civil engineering side of it. I frequently ask civil engineers to add a manhole here, add a clean out there, put a valve over here. It doesn't mean that the design was necessarily bad. It's just that frequently when the regulators and reviewers see things, they're going to interpret code slightly differently. And in this case, that's what happened on the fire detection. The fire department felt a few extra detection devices is necessary. I don't necessarily view it as an omission on that particular item, or something was missed or something went wrong. I don't view it that way. This is very common for projects like this to go through a review process, and the regulators suggest things, and then we incorporate those into the design. And unfortunately, that happened after bid time, so it results in an additional cost to add, a couple detectors. But we're only trying to comply with what the fire department wants and make the building as safe as possible.
Any other questions, comments? Any other questions? All right. Roll call on this item.
Berman,
Yes.
Inkert,
Yes.
McNeil,
Yes.
Pierce,
Yes.
Mason,
Yes.
Peterson.
Yeah.
All right, 6 voting yes, motion carries. Next item on the agenda is administrators' reports.
So there's been significant, I'm going to talk about the open space development across the street. There's been significant progress. So I thought I'd give you some pictures. So let's start with that. So what you're looking at there is the forming of the arch of the bridge. It's parabolic. Probably one of the more difficult or complex concrete forming that I've ever seen. There's a lot of geometry going on here. You can see the steel installed. But that basically what you're looking at there is there's a concrete slab, which is called a bridge abutment. They drove the piling, they placed the bridge abutment on top of that piling, and now they're forming what is going to be the concrete arch that will carry the creek under the bridge. Go to the next one. That's just another view of it. That is not the surface or the decking of the bridge. There's going to be another forming and concrete pour to establish, you're not going to be walking over a bridge with that parabolic curve. You're going to be walking over something with a much gentler parabolic curve. Oh, go back one. I just wanted to go back one. Try to zoom in on the dark spot there, right there. That gives you an example of some of the things that we're encountering as far as the soil goes. That is peat. That is not something you can build on. And unfortunately, that is part of the soil conditions that are adversely affecting construction and stability of slope. So unfortunately, we've encountered quite a bit of that on both the northern and southern slope. But I just wanted you to kind of see it. It's a good example of when you dig a hole, kind of what you hit. You can see soil levels above that are nice, sand and gravel and clay. And then all of a sudden, abruptly, you're going to hit something different. And that's part of the nature of, I think some of the comments that Trustee Masick or Trustee Pierce, were concerned with. But that's this picture, I just wanted to point it out in this picture. That's looking east at the bridge structure and how it's formed. This is the western overlook, which has been poured. So there is an area between Main Street and the bridge on the south side of the embankment, where we've made accessible, and it'll be an area that would be, if you were in a chair or something like this. This is meant to get somebody closer to the creek so they can experience the creek the same as everybody else. There are people that have abilities to be able to climb on the stone outcroppings and interact with the creek. It's hard to make this entire site accessible, but this was, I thought, an important element to get those that aren't as mobile as close to the creek as possible also. So this is part of the element. It was an included element in the program, intentionally done because we are trying to make this park as accessible as possible for everybody's enjoyment. This is from the bridge looking east of the placement of the cobble. You can see a significant amount of outcropping stone is being placed. So that essentially is going to be what your creek bottom is going to look like. There are still stones that need to be placed and some final adjustments of stone so that we can control the low flow. There was a lot of concern about what is this going to look like during low flow. And I think we need to get the geometry right with the cobble placement to make sure that in the low flow conditions, we still want to see a creek moving through here. So this may not be the exact geometry, but this is a significant amount of stone that has been placed so far. Let's go to the next one. There we go. Here's a look from the bridge area looking to the west. And you can really start to see what that Main Street structure looks like at this point. You can see that arch that was in previous pictures I showed you was being formed up. You can see it in this view. You can see just on the very left part of the photograph where that western overlook structure has been built. And if we go to the next slide. I think you can just slide over to the right. You're going to get an arrow pop up on the screen.
What if you use your right arrow key on your keypad?
Here's a closer look, and you really get the magnitude of how large that structure is at that point. Certainly, somebody, a person could walk under that arch. So you start to get a feeling for how big that structure really is. And that structure should be shortly receiving stone. So the face stone that was selected for the bridge and these other structures, we're just about ready. I'm told in the next couple of weeks, you'll hopefully see the masons out there, if weather cooperates with us, actually putting the decorative stone on. There's another view. This view, you kind of get more of a sense of the curvilinear wall. This wall is not a straight wall. This wall is an S curve. So you start to get a sense in this picture of some of the curvature in the wall. This is the other side of that wall. So they're backfilling with sand. So you kind of get a sense now of how large the plaza will be at Depot and Main Street. So though this area will receive stone paving treatment, and this picture really gives you a good sense. This is not, you see some paving or a small plaza around the street clock we have out here. That's a dwarf compared to the size of the plaza we're going to have on the corner of Depot and Main Street. So if we can zoom on those. Now we're getting into, and this is not my favorite part, where we start selecting colors and make approvals on things. But this is the mock-up of the brick on the building, the stone that will be placed on the building, the bridge, and the other structures. as well as the roofing material. If you zoom out a little bit, you're going to catch the roofing material. And then there's a little square composite that's cement board, and that will be what's used to case out door frames and other elements of the building. So I'm always asked to approve these things, and if anyone knows me well enough, I'm the worst about picking colors or anything like this, but this is what your design calls for. And in the next slide, I think you're going to see a mock-up. So they've created a mock-up, which you can actually go look at. It's on the Orchard Street side of the construction trailer. So they actually built a mock-up of the brick and the stone. And what this was supposed to do was to show us the difference between the different grouts. The right one has a natural grout color, and the left one has white grout. I think it was specified in the plans to have white grout. We can save $6,000 by going with natural grout. And from all those present at the meeting the other day, they actually preferred the natural grout. From there, you probably can't even see the difference between those two. There's a very slight difference in grout color, with a lighter grout color on the left and a more natural grout color on the right. But the landscape architects, engineers, myself, contractor, we all stood there looking at it the other day, and we all at least agreed that the natural grout looked better, and there might be a slight cost reduction to do that. And if you'd like to go see it, it's over there. And then now I'm getting asked about interior colors, flooring. Again, not my favorite thing. But we have, that's what's being circled there is the floor, which is an epoxy floor poured over concrete. The yellow is designated for the cafe area. And I think Rebecca's face kind of told it all. Everybody I've shown this to so far wasn't digging the yellow too much. And then it's called, the color he's on now is Tuscany. It's called Tuscany. That's spec'd out in the bathrooms. And please know that Williams had a professional interior designer that does this for a living, spec out all these materials and colors. The little square, I think, right there in the middle is the partitions that'll be in the washrooms. I'm not sure what the square in the bottom is. I forget, but just to give you an idea of what's going on behind the scenes. Now we're getting into the level of detail to pick colors of grout and all these different products. So it's a lot. There's a lot of detail, a lot happening on this. So I think progress is going along well at this point. The next couple of weeks, we expect the foundation of the cafe building to be put in the ground. We are still waiting for the construction of the structure along Orchard because Comcast is not yet ready to do their cutover. There's unfortunately after they're ready to cut over, there has to be some kind of a notification process because they do service the community with data. They have some rules and regs about they have to provide notice about a cutover 2 weeks in advance. So I believe we're in that period where we just have to wait for the notice before the splice and the cutover can happen on Comcast to where we can begin work on the Orchard Street. 90% of the channel is at subgrade. I would say about 25% of the channel is got final finish. And there's about 10% yet that needs to be excavated. The extent of, so we're 90% through excavation, in my opinion, at this point, to where, that's where you don't know what you're going to hit. We're 90% through that. We got another 10% to go before we really can quantify all of the different soil quantities and what needed to get removed, replaced. So we're almost there. Does anyone have any questions about what's happening across the street on this project? I'm going to skip up to North Avenue. North Avenue, all of the concrete work has been installed, so anything associated with quiet zone is in place. There is still paving that needs to happen. As I said, the project is directed by Lake County DOT. We're understanding paving is yet to happen this week, possibly tomorrow, and this crossing could potentially be open this weekend.
Do they have to paint too? Because I noticed down around Lake where they did the increased median area that it's bright yellow. It is like really bright. Yeah.
I know there's going to be striping. I don't know if Director Heimbrodt knows.
There is required painting of the curb somewhere else.
Yeah, because when I went over there and looked at it, it looked like all they had left to do was do the paving and the painting, and then they were probably done.
Yeah. So we're being told that next week the FRI is going to come re-inspect the quiet zone, and I think we're all hoping that all of the work gets done, and the FRI approves, ICC approves, and hopefully the quiet zone will be reenacted before Thanksgiving. That's the goal. The clarifier project is maybe not all the way complete, but the clarifier is operational. We were able to fill and operate the clarifier. So that is back online. That's a huge relief, I think, to the operators and Director Heimbrodt and myself. We are now back to full operational capacity. And I know it took a long time to get there. So we're basically in project wrap-up mode at this point with JJ Henderson, at least. I still continue to have conversations with different contractors and engineers about permanent dewatering systems to control groundwater. Unfortunately, a lot of that is trial and error, and I'm a little hesitant to go into trial and error situations. So we're talking to different people. We have recently spoke to a consultant that seems to have a lot of experience in dewatering, and has outlined an approach, and we've gone back and forth, and I still continue to investigate, and I'm going to continue to try to find a permanent way to dewater that site so something like this is much, much less likely to happen again. We did get a little delay in the road program. We had some snow that came in on Halloween. So when temperatures are not 45 degrees and rising, they can't put down pavement. Asphalt plants may not even open. So we've run into some temperature issues. We've run into some precipitation issues. Right now, Burnett is partially paved. That's the horseshoe road right off of Depot Street, if you're not familiar. About half of that pavement is in. After that is done, they're going to move over toward the 59 area and hit Hennings Court, Landmark, and then Bowles Road. So hopefully temperatures cooperate with us over the next several days so we can complete the paving.
What if it doesn't? You get a force majeure clause and I get to ride through potholes?
There is a force majeure clause in the contract. There are liquidated damages in the contract as well.
So how are we gonna fix the pot?
Because
the contract went way too long. The contract also, I'm surprised he didn't bring it up. We get the leaf problem. I've already raked my gosh darn leaves 3 times, wind blows. Every time we put it so gosh darn late in the year, I've already raked leaves 3 times to put them back. They don't come. I get complaints from everybody. And I don't know why we can't coordinate with them on the stupid leaves. Every gosh darn year I've been up here, it's always the leaf problems. Now I've got my car going over 1-foot potholes because that was a month went by. There was great weather, but a month went by on Bowles Road where it was grounded and nobody came there. They were allowed to do that to damage the road. And, I Googled, but over a month on that road.
They're still within contract specs.
So they can damn it, they could go, hold on, because maybe I'm a little messed up in the brain that I gotta listen to all my neighbors. They can rip the road up and let it sit there a month.
Yes.
That's insane.
So what happens is the first thing that usually happens would be an R&R. So there's going to be a different crew in here doing R&R of curb. Okay, that crew rolls into town, then it moves to a different town. Then the next thing happens is the grinding crew comes in. That crew grinds, then it moves on to wherever it grinds next. It's not like the contract says, and we could write a contract that says you have these specific timeframes. But that means all of the contractors, different crews and resources will be in the same place at the same time. And that's just typically not how it's done. This is not unusual. They're still within contract time periods. If they get beyond, I think was it November 15? If they get beyond November 15, there is things we can do about it, but they are technically still, again, operating using their means and methods.
1 foot pothole. That's okay.
I didn't say it's okay.
Subdivision's driving through 1 foot pothole. Okay.
I didn't.
For a
say it
month.
was okay. Well, they're not outside of contract specs. That's all.
Not what I.
Is this the same company as generally we use, or I mean, because it seems, I mean,
Yeah.
you've got a point. I mean, they really, foul words almost came out of my mouth. I'm sorry. They really seem to have dragged their dog behind the car as long as they could and left Aunt Edna sitting on top of the car.
All I can tell you is from my perspective, this is to answer the question. Yes, this is a contractor we used many, many times, Payne and Dolan. Gotten many of our road program awards, and it is not unusual what you're experiencing when a road gets ground and it doesn't get paved for a period of time. That is not unusual in these repaving and resurfacing.
I mean, I get that we have consistently, since I've been on the board, allowed them to schedule later in the early fall so that we could save money on the price of the contract. And I get the fact that they're going to grind all their roads and then they're going to asphalt all their roads. And I get that because they don't want to run all the asphalt trucks going willy-nilly everywhere. But I mean, this seems like they've really put it to us. I mean, all the years I've never experienced the delays in this, and I don't know whether it's a manpower issue on their part or a planning thing on their part, or us not being smart enough to say, well, let's do it in the fall and give you 2 weeks or 3 weeks instead of 2 months.
Again, from my perspective, and I've been present for the last, I don't know how many road programs, this is not unusual. Some contractors do it at a faster pace, but the contract times, the amount of time, they have a completion date. It's put in the contract, and we have we don't have an extensive one. We have pretty much the same contract that we've let for the last 15 years. If you'd like that, if the board directs me to make that different, we can write a different contract next year and tell the contractor they have shorter time frames. It will result in higher price resurfacing.
Thank you. Right.
Real quickly, I've had a couple of meetings. We have talked to some federal, I think we've been asked to kind of leave no stone unturned as far as finding funding, finding grants. Can't we find a grant for this, find a grant for that? We have opened up a conversation with some federal grant writers / lobbyists that, claim that they can fund community projects. We're still looking at it. I just want the board to know that, staff is not, taking any of the comments that this board makes, lightly. We are actively looking for ways to find money to fund projects. I had a meeting with Johnson Controls. They called here, so they have a municipal group. It's a global company that claims to have a municipal group that can help with infrastructure and costs and help us maybe offset costs and find savings so we have more money for projects. So we're actively meeting with these folks, trying to look for intelligent, legitimate ways to find money for for your project. For all the projects. And on that note, in closing, we are, I think, close to scheduling a meeting to talk about capital. Staff is beginning to prepare for a meeting to discuss capital. Spreadsheets are being developed. Projects are being listed. Zeta had a very nice meeting with staff where we're basically just all compiling lists of everything that needs to happen. It's comprehensive. But I would appreciate if there are specific items that you'd like to be covered, exhibits that you'd like to be presented, contact me. The word capital is very general. That could mean a lot of things, and that conversation could go a lot of different directions. My hope is that after we spend 3 hours, 4 hours together, that we will make progress toward prioritizing what we are going to do and what is going to be able to get funded. So we will talk about funding, the different buckets of revenue available, what those buckets of revenue are available for. Then you're going to see where the department heads have all listed out all the different needs. And the point of it is not to shock you in any way, although some of you may be surprised by the need out there, but it is simply to give you the information so you can see and have the benefit of what your staff thinks about and is preparing for. Ultimately, though, you will set the direction, the policy, and the priority for these things. And that's kind of where I hope we end the day. I think we're still talking about the 17th, but I don't know if it's been officially scheduled. But that's what I hope that we conclude with, is we have more clarity and focus in more on the priorities of the board. I don't think it's going to be a one and done either. I have a feeling we're going to be talking about capital multiple times.
All right. Let's get one straight. We know we need cameras. We wait till the last day to get them, or we try to find them when they're on sale. We wait for the last minute to make sure we buy them at the most expensive part of the project, or do we start looking for the gosh darn things before and get the price locked in before inflation starts hitting them and they double in price?
We have already we have a camera vendor that we have used for several of the projects, and we
get it. That's not what I asked. Do we? I'll make a question easier for you. Do we lock in prices? We know we need 16 let's just say 16 cameras for the park. We need pull switches. Do we get them early enough so we lock in the prices so we know it's going to be $30,000, or do we wait to the end that it's going to turn into $60,000?
We have pricing for the cameras right now.
Every time I ask, every time. Okay.
I will say that we are continuing to look at more pricing for the cameras. We're not saying that the camera vendor that we have been using is the be all end all of cameras, and staff continues to try to find the best value for this village. But yeah, we do not wait to the last minute. We have secured pricing for the cameras, and we continue to look to see if we can't find better pricing.
Right. Thank you. Village clerk, do you have any reports? All right.
I apologize. There is one more item that I'd like Assistant Administrator Ashley Eccles to come up and report
on. Good evening, Your Honor and Board of Trustees. In speaking of grant funding, I'm pleased to report that the village has been selected to receive cybersecurity protection services through the Illinois State and Local Cybersecurity Grant Program. So this is a pass-through grant that will be providing federally funded services and licenses for, it's called CrowdStrike Endpoint Protection. And that's intended to help us operate more securely and protect us against cyber threats and malicious activity. As we know, this is increasingly important as attacks become more frequent and malicious. This software will be deployed on 100 endpoints and it's monitored 24/7, 365 days a year by the State of Illinois Security Operations Center. They analyze all of the alerts, and they would contact us if and when any threats are identified. We're at the forefront of adopting this, as there are approximately 10 other authorities within Lake County that are also adopting it, and the program is becoming increasingly more and more popular as more agencies are learning about it. And the estimated total value and savings to the village will be approximately $100,000 across a 4-year span. And I would like to recognize IT manager Amy Picciotto for her hard work in coordinating this initiative and effort. So we'll be working to deploy this software across the village over the next few weeks.
Once we get the funding.
When do we get?
Once you get the software funding, is there a cost after the fact? They might get free software, and then we get an update on this genius. I'm already looking ahead what they're doing. So then they give us $100,000 worth of software. We start smoking a cigarette, and we're addicted.
So the pricing is actually based off of the number of licenses. So we're looking at purchasing about 115 licenses. It would be based off of, again, that number of endpoints. I believe it's $18 a month. So in total, again, like I said, across that 4-year span, currently there is no cost to the village for this. Certainly correct. Over the next 4 years, there would not be a cost. And so, looking at keeping that obviously low, but there is not a guarantee that, moving forward past that 4-year time frame, that we would still be eligible.
When this is done, I want to make sure we're not locked in, because that's how people start drug use. They'll give you the drugs free today, and then you're addicted because we use the software. Then all of a sudden we got a bill at the end of the day in 4 years. That's all you got to do.
Did you?
A good Shark Tank gig.
Did you say what the cybersecurity software was? I missed that.
CrowdStrike is the name of it.
Yeah, I've heard of it. It's not my favorite, but I've heard of it.
All right, thank you.
It doesn't play well with a lot of software applications. We better check, make sure it plays.
We're going to be doing some tests.
Solutions put in or what?
Yeah, we're going to be doing some testing first across. It'll be primarily on laptop and PC devices. And we want to make sure that obviously before we would go through a full rollout of the deployment, that the testing is successful.
All right, thank you. Next, community development updates. Director Garrigan.
Yes, thank you, Your Honor. I just wanted to give the board an update. I want to let you know there has been a scheduled public hearing for the village's first landmark before the Historic Preservation Commission in December. So we anticipate that first landmark for the Meeting House building, probably the oldest standing building in Antioch, will be our first landmark. So we anticipate, subject to getting a favorable recommendation by the Historic Preservation Commission, that will probably be coming before the village board in January. In addition, staff did submit an application for a National Register downtown historic registration to be one of the first communities, especially in Northern Lake County, would have potentially a National Register designation for our downtown, which would be I think an exciting achievement from our Preservation Commission. In addition, we are getting very close to having our survey completed. It's been almost a 2-year endeavor, but as you know, we have spent a lot of time on our interactive map for this.
What is the oldest building? What building are you talking?
Meeting House, the actual historic Meeting House is, my belief is the oldest standing existing building.
Okay, thanks.
So it goes back to what, 1850s, I believe. And so with regards to existing development, we are working, subject to engineering review, that the phase 4 of the clublands will be coming before the Planning Commission, potentially either in December or January, with 400 homes potentially. We do have to work some issues out. There has to be a reapproval of the final plat, and there's some issues as relates to product that we'll work with the developer on. In addition, I wanted to advise the board. I'm not in a position to give details, but I was contacted and was verified that working with an attorney that the waste management property across from Walmart will be annexed into the village of Antioch. We've been working on that for some time, and there will be a potentially a reuse of that site, and there will be a potentially a commercial user. I'm not in a position to tell you who that is, but we're excited that the property is coming into the village of Antioch. It's been a major eyesore. One of our goals, economic development goals, was to get that property into the village of Antioch. So they will be annexing that property, and there will be commercial development of that property. With respect to variances, in the next couple months, you'll be seeing 3 applications for EMB signs from the school district. So I just want to give you heads up that's going to be scheduled for the planning commission in December, and in all probability, you'll be seeing 3 variances for EMB signs from the high school district and also District 34. In addition, we were contacted this week by a senior housing developer who is potentially interested in doing additional senior housing for Antioch. So I'm currently working with that developer on potentially some different sites. And that concludes my update. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Finance report, Director Torres.
Thank you, Mayor and Board. Just a few things. As we tried tonight with the audit, we spent like from May to September, we spent 3 months during the audit season preparing for the audit. And then September and October is really days that we spend back and forth, us reviewing the audit and getting together with the auditors. But I do want to emphasize that in the email, it looks like MFT does every so often, every so many years, they do a comprehensive MFT audit. It wasn't the email. So we spend a lot of time this summer preparing for the MFT audit, doing the regular audit. And on top of that, now we have more responsibility in preparing documents and data for the police pension. So I do want to recognize my department tonight for doing such a great job and the effort, especially Linda Dubs and Keith Crow, who spend many hours past our normal hours, making sure that we are in compliance and that we do the best we can for the village to get the opinion we get. Also, I want to add to what Jim said regarding the capital. We've done like 2 brainstorming meetings, how we want to proceed. The whole plan is to create a master plan that sees a vision for the village for the next 5 years on projects that the village needs to keep in the radar for today and in the future. And then take that master list and divide it into the next 5 years, and then put them in priority order, explain the tiers. I created tiers where you'll see at the meeting we present to you, we have a tier that are items like loans we have to pay, regulatory information, anything that we have our IJ agreement, we know we have to make sure we put that in the expenditures, and everything will be labeled according to maintenance. It'll be labeled to phases. Some of the things like the Public Works Department has items that they're in phases, so we'll put them in the years and phases. And then number 4, the new items, kind of like the Public Works building, the parks and things like that. Our plan this year is to get you all very much involved, do as many meetings as possible so you could participate and give us feedback and participate better than in the past, how it's been done in the past. So we do have a schedule for the new year, start hitting the ground running to start the budget. Right now, we're working on the capital plan. And as Jim indicated, we plan to meet with all of you and present that plan so you can make the decisions and give us the feedback, and we go back and do what you guide us to do. That's all I have. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, Police, Chief Gutchow.
Good evening. So I just have a rather short report to bring tonight. So the board's aware we did recently have 3 entry-level candidates accept final offers for employment as police officers. We plan to start them the week after Thanksgiving, and you'll have the opportunity to meet each of them and their families on the 29th, where we plan to have them sworn in. I want to acknowledge our staff for the outstanding way in which they engaged our community, especially our kids during the recent Treat the Streets event. We were happy to be a part of it, and we're more happy to report that the event happened safely and without incident. So a special thank you to our village team members from across all departments who worked hard to make it a safe and fun event for all. As a reminder for the board, our Shop at the Cop event will take place on December 19th that evening. And I again invite you to attend that event, especially if you've never had the opportunity to be a part of it. We continue to inch closer to the finalization of the District 34 School Resource Officer Agreement, with our goal to have this program ready to go next year. The draft agreement will be going back for final review to our legal team, hopefully the end of this week. Just want to remark on the large party that you're all aware of that occurred a few weeks ago on Ida. I know we all received some questions in the tactics and response and how that party was addressed. So I'll let you know that as the chief, I stand behind the decisions of my command officers and how they addressed that. I think they did it appropriately. While there may not have been a significant amount of arrests, it's important to acknowledge that there were no injuries, which is more important. Just because there were not a lot of penalties instituted that evening, I would like to report that since the conclusion of that incident, we have issued the property owner nearly $7,000 in fines for multiple code violations and social hosting. And then lastly, as Administrator Kyman mentioned earlier, I'm pleased to report that after the long wait due to supply chain issues, the new ballistic vest and upgraded hard armor that the board approved last year for our officers has arrived, with only a few exceptions. All personnel have received their new vests and their rifle plates have arrived. I want to just pass it around, do a little show and tell for the board. This is what's being issued to all officers. These vest plate combinations will dramatically improve the level of protections our vests provide to our officers. As you know, during this party, we recently recovered an AR-15 platform weapon that was loaded with 50 rounds of ammunition. These recent upgrade to the armor systems, for the first time, our officers will be equipped with the protection that's rated to stop .223 assault rifle rounds. With all the changes in the world taking place, I just wanted to take a moment to thank the board for their ongoing commitment to ensuring our officers are equipped with the necessary equipment to keep them safe and to do their jobs effectively. So thank you.
Thank you.
I have a quick question about the December 19th. Is there a what time how does that?
I will send an email to the board. I believe there's 2 sessions. They usually start around 4:30 and then again around 6, but I will confirm that in an email to the board prior to that event once everything's finalized.
All right. Thank you, Chief. Any trustee reports? All right, motion to adjourn, entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion trustee
Second.
Pierce, second trustee Bluthart. Roll call, please.
Berman,
Yes.
Luther,
Yes.
Yes.
Pierce,
Aye.
Peterson.
Yes.
6 voting yes. Motion, meeting is adjourned at 8:51. I'll take a 5-minute recess and reconvene. Meeting to order at 8:58. This is the committee of the whole meeting. Roll call, please.
Here.
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 Pierce,
Present.
trustee Mason,
Here.
trustee Peterson,
Present.
Mayor Gurke.
Present. No mayoral reports. Move right to regular business. First item is approval of the October 25, 2023 committee of the whole meeting minutes as presented. Do I have a motion and a second?
So moved. Second.
All right, motion trustee Bluthart, second trustee Berman. Roll call, please.
Berman,
Yes.
Luther,
Yes.
McNeil.
Yes.
Pierce,
Aye.
Mason,
Yes.
Peterson.
Yes.
6 voting yes, motion carries. Next item is consideration or request for a Class A liquor license from 15 Lakes. Probably gotta leave the room again.
You need to let some of these other guys have fun.
All right. All right. What are we doing? I don't see it.
All right, the mayor's left us, so we're here to discuss the consideration of the liquor license for 15 Lakes. Mr. Garrigan, do you wanna, or who's presenting? What's that mean?
Yeah, so they've come in, they've obviously submitted their application. The only thing that is abnormal about their application is the fact that the size, so looking for a Class A liquor license, but the size parameters that is in the village ordinance right now says it's gotta be 2,000 square feet for a pouring and beer, liquor, wine for the Class A. So they are 1,400 square feet. So the question would be is, are we willing to accept the variance on the current liquor license, but that's, everything else has been done. The applications came in, there's nothing in the background that would stipulate any glaring issues.
Variance. It's a variance.
It would be a variance to it, yeah.
How do you handle a variance on a liquor license?
We would pass an ordinance that weighs the square. Yeah. Well, how have you done? Yeah.
I,
How have you done it in the past?
I think that the board can grant this license waiving the square footage requirement or make a text amendment to the village code, changing the square footage requirement for Class A license. I'm asking the attorney to confirm it for me, but yes, I believe that those are the options.
She thinks correctly. And there's multiple ways to skin the cat. So I would probably do a non-codified ordinance. But
Come on, Ed.
but no, the clerk is as usual 100% correct.
Trustee Berman, you got any questions?
Not as of now.
Trustee Bluthart?
No, other than, when was the 2,000-foot rule put in place? And was there a reason we did that or the board did that at that time? Do we know?
No one needed some room on the ark. That's when it was put in place. I don't know.
It was approved in May of 2020 when there was an overhaul of the liquor code. That was one of the amendments that was placed into the liquor code, and I think it was in response to video gaming at the time, if I remember correctly.
Nothing further.
Trustee McNeil?
My only question was trustee Bluthart's. I was just curious why the 2,000 square foot requirement, because I know a lot of smaller restaurants and other municipalities have full liquor licenses. So I don't see any issue with this, but I was just curious also on why we have that restriction. So I'll look into it more with the clerk and the attorney, but otherwise no questions.
Trustee Masek? I can't hear you.
French restaurant, what they call
Bistro.
Bistro.
Yeah, they gotta have wine with the steak or a little. Doesn't make sense to have a steak joint without one.
Okay.
So you gotta put this far with the dough. Gotta make the exception, Mary.
Trustee Peterson?
I have, no.
So do I hear any objections to asking this to be on the agenda for the next meeting with the attorney directed to draft the appropriate stuff?
No.
Okay. Can we ask the mayor to please return, please?
Sure.
Is he in the cone of silence with his headphones on?
Mary made fun of you.
Yeah, Mary was really bad. She made fun of me.
No, Scott handled it as if it was a lot
I had
quicker
to,
than
I had to hit Ed with the gavel so he could pass it on to Mary.
All right, next item on the agenda is 3, consideration of a site plan review and variance for rear and side yard setback for a new storage building to be located at the property commonly known as 882 Anita Avenue, PIN 0208404012. Director Garrigan.
Yes, thank you, Your Honor. This matter comes before you this evening for a variance for property 882. The applicant is proposing to build approximately 5,000 square foot building. Just for context, there was a previously a large metal existing building. There was a fire several years ago, an exact location where the applicant is proposing, but that was a legally non-conforming building. This building would be a storage building. The applicant is generally, again, as I've highlighted, is proposing to construct a building in this general same location as that previous existing building prior to the fire. They're seeking a variance for 12 feet for a rear yard and approximately 5 feet for a side yard setback. Just for context, they're proposing a CMU block building. And this building would be used for storage. And with regards to the variance, again, it's for a rear yard setback, basically backs up to the Canadian National. So I'd be more than happy to answer any questions that you have. There is a site plan Again, they have incorporated the required landscape plan and photometric plan. So again, the Plan Commission did recommend approval of this proposed variance and this proposed site plan. So I'll be more than happy to answer any questions that the village board has.
Any questions regarding this item? Trustee Trustee Bluthart?
Yeah. I'm just glad that there's an item on our agenda that's not regarding gambling, kratom. No, I have no problems with it.
Trustee McNeil? Yep.
My only question was, I read through this and I might not have followed it, but I understand the rear setback, the railroad is behind it, and it's not a very large variance, the 15 to 12, but I was not sure on the sides, are they only 5 feet? Would they only be 5 feet from their neighbor?
Yes, well, this is a little complicated. At one time, this property had joint ownership. So now the property was split. There is like a party driveway between the property to the north and this existing property owner. So yes, the proposed setback would be 5 feet technically from the other property owners' property. They've actually, that owner was at the Plan Commission and have completely supported this request of 5-yard setback.
Okay, that was gonna be my follow-up.
So they'll be coming in probably in the future for another storage building, that owner to the north.
Okay, and if the neighboring adjacent owner on the side wanted to come and build something with,
He would need a variance too. So
Okay.
you'll be seeing another variance, no problem.
will 5 feet give him enough space to build something? I just want to make sure we're not
Yes,
negatively
Yes,
impacting
yes.
the neighbor to the
He'll-
side.
He'll have enough room to put a building, but he will need a variance.
Okay.
Regardless of what he does, he will need a variance when he brings his building in. And to be fair, I have not seen it yet, so I'm just.
It just seems so narrow with the 5 feet. I
It's
understand
tight,
the rear,
it's
but.
tight. But
yeah.
again, this was all one property at one time.
Okay, all right, no further questions.
Any other questions on this item?
What's the, I didn't quite understand you, the surface yard area needs to be in conformance with the village.
Well,
requirement?
that was a discussion for the Plan Commission. They did not request that, as of right now, the yard, I call it a storage yard, is not improved, i.e. it's not asphalt. It's basically a gravel area. And I did raise the issue. There is some precedent where we required applicants who are seeking a variance or relief that improved, to bring other parts of the development into conformity. The Planning Commission did not make the recommendation. They were comfortable with the existing condition of the storage yard itself. So if you actually go back to, I think, this picture, I can show you the actual storage yard, but it's not, i.e. it's not an improved surface. It's not asphalt.
Okay.
Did I answer your question?
Yeah, that answers that question. So we're not requiring them to do asphalt.
Correct. That's correct.
It was just a
I mean, it's
discussion.
your prerogative, but staff is not requesting that.
What about the stormwater detention? That's mentioned in the report too.
Again, that would be only subject if you would require him to do all asphalt. Then he would probably exceed the impervious surface area, and that may trigger retention. But in this current condition, I don't think there will be any additional requirement for retention.
Because it should drain through the gravel.
Correct. Well, I mean, it's basically your existing conditions. And again, the impervious surface, the proposed building is substantially smaller than the previous metal building, which took up a much larger percentage of the space. This one was 3 times the size.
Okay. 5,000 square feet, how long is that and how wide is that?
The dimensions, I believe, I apologize. I'm not sure what the dimensions.
96 by 54.
96 by 50.
Okay.
Thank you.
That's too big for my lot.
Any other questions over here?
Yeah.
Trustee Masek?
Just for the record, I didn't see it in here. Let's see what that property is on.
That's a business park. It's part of our foreign-based code, so it's a business park zoning. And most of this property is legally non-conforming. As you well know, this building was built many, many years ago. So a large percentage of the building is legally non-conforming.
Anything else? Trustee Peters?
So if we grant this, what if he wants to put asphalt down?
Well, he would have to come in for, at a minimum, no question, he has to come in for a building permit, okay? And then the engineering would have to be reviewed. So that our engineers would look at that. And then we have to address if there will be retention or stormwater storage requirements. So at that point, go ahead.
compacted asphalt in parking lots is considered impervious, so there is no change to impervious. There is no provision in our ordinances that would require detention for this. The entire site's impervious, was impervious, will be impervious, so the question of whether this will or will not require detention is moot.
Okay.
So then why'd we include it in the thing? As a discussion point in here? If it's moot. Okay.
All right, thank you. So we'll move this to the agenda for the 29th. Unless there's objection. All right, last item on the committee of the whole is consideration of a variance for relief from the village's height limitation of 60 feet for towers to allow for the construction of an antenna tower of 100 feet to be located on the property commonly known as 41133 North Route 83, pin 0214400025. Director Gary.
Yes, thank you, Your Honor. This matter comes before you again for a variance. We have been working with ComEd. Commonwealth Edison, as you all know, has an existing substation just off Route 83, just adjacent to Canadian National Railroad and existing transmission lines for ComEd. As part of their overall comprehensive plan to create a smart grid, they are requesting the construction of a tower specifically, which will help with the implementation of their regional smart grid. Counsel for Commonwealth Edison is actually here to answer any specific questions as it relates to this, but they are required a variance. We currently have a limitation for tower heights of 60 feet. The applicant is proposing a tower height of 104 feet. Technically, it'd be 100 feet of the tower, 4 feet of a lightning rod. So therefore, it's 104 foot tower. They are required to have a variance. This proposed tower will be actually installed in the substation, again, adjacent to Canadian National Railroad and existing transmission lines. This tower will be generally the same height of existing transmission lines for ComEd, but this is a critical element of their regional grid improvements for a smart grid. So with that, staff did make a recommendation, and the planning commission did make a favorable recommendation. So with that, I'll be more than happy to answer any questions that the board has.
All right, questions on this side? Nope. All right, questions on this side?
I think you answered one of my questions about how high it would be in relation to the transmission towers that are currently there. It'd be about the same.
Approximately same height.
Is it bigger width-wise?
No, it's just like a cell. I think there's a picture of this on here. I apologize. There it is. It's almost very similar to a cell tower. You can see there's slate arms out there, but more similar to a cell tower versus a major transmission line.
And this is going to allow them to monitor all of our household electrical use?
I'm going to defer to counsel. Mr. Otter, specifically counsel from Commonwealth Edison, maybe could, or somebody from the ComEd team could answer that technical question. I don't want to answer that.
Hi, name is Dave Blackmore. The tower is used to monitor the digital automation grid. So the things that, in common terms, that open and close circuits or monitor voltage on the lines, it's communicating with those things.
Also, all your other equipment spread out throughout the village, that would be switches and
Correct.
And transformers or whatever else is talking to.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And I was just asking questions so you feel like you served a purpose here. Sitting through our long meeting.
Anything else on the side?
Want me to ask a question? Yeah. This
No.
No question. I got no question. I just wanted to make
Trustee Peterson, you have any questions?
I
All right,
have no
we'll move this also to the November 29th meeting.
Do we need them to return that night or?
I think it's
No.
gotta get.
All right, thanks for sticking through it. All right, next, any requests for executive session?
Yes, I need an executive session. Two for the litigation we got. And the second one request to discuss and play with possible action at the end.
Okay, I have a request from trustee Masek regarding litigation and say personnel.
Personnel, possible action.
All right,
Going back to the meeting.
with no action to take place after the meeting, correct?
No, that's not what he said.
With action to possibly take place?
Possibly.
Okay,
We'll leave it possibly.
with action to possibly take place after the meeting. Okay, do I have a motion and a second?
So moved.
Motion, trust-
Motion, I'll say.
all right. Motion trustee, Basic second, trustee Pierce. Roll call, please.
Berman,
Yes.
Luther,
Yes.
McNeil.
Yes.
Pierce,
Aye.
Mason,
Yes.
Peterson.
Yes.
6 voting yes, motion carries. We are in executive session.